Rajasthan, India, considered the most haunted place in all of India. It's called the Bhangarh Fort, and it was cursed twice. Now, this is legend and folklore, but it is a powerful curse. Souls are trapped in this fort. It's said that the people who die there are not allowed to reincarnate. And we're going to get into this fort. We're going to get into the hauntings, the jinns, the witches, all of the cool things that have been reported out of this place. But first, hello! I'm Aloysius. I'm the owner of Haunted Harbor Tours. We got a great video for you today. I'm super excited. I have known about this fort for quite a while. I was actually on the phone with a man from India a while back, and we had a long lull in which we had to wait for somebody to give us more information before we could continue what we were working on together. I started telling him about what I do professionally, telling him about my ghost tour company, and he told me all about his family. He grew up in Rajasthan. What kind of strange stories can you tell me? And he said, oh, well, there was a fort which we were not allowed to go to when we were growing up. We were told it was incredibly dangerous and violent and cursed. Even people who are farming with livestock, they're not allowed, they don't allow their animals to feed on the land at this fort, which was a village historically. I really enjoyed having this conversation. I think I even managed to friend him on social media. Great guy. In the 1600s, King Bhagwar Das, in the 16th century, King Bhagwar Das, not king, he was a ruler. He ruled under a small town that was named after himself, another fort. He seemed to serve under an emperor, and I apologize. My Indian history is very basic, okay? It's an armchair history over the research of a couple of weeks, and so I'm not perfectly familiar with this. But this ruler went out seeking a place for his youngest son. Madho Singh was the son's name, and to be able to set him up with his own village and all of these nice things. And he found the land that would become Bhangarh. There was a guru upon that land who lived there. A man sat upon a hill by a tree, and a guru, a man of incredible enlightenment and wisdom, and asked him if they could take this land and build a fort on it. And Baba Baluna, this guru, said, yes, you may. I have one requirement, however. You must never allow the shadows of this village, of this fort, to touch my sacred space. If you do, the land will be cursed and dark things will occur. Well, and the ruler agreed. The temple was far up on a hill. That's his burial mound. That's the temple of Baba Baluna, and that's where his spiritual place sat. And he said, absolutely, the shadows will never touch your sacred space. But the son of Madho disregarded that, and he ended up building the fort taller and taller and taller. You could never build a tower big enough. This young prince built the tower so tall that it managed to put shadow on the sacred holy land of Baba Balunath, and the land was cursed. Now, it was a subtle curse, and it took a while for anybody to notice, but it was a curse first of prosperity. People were traveling to this land, and the family had beautiful daughters now. The next generation, these princesses came along, one of whom was the most beautiful princess this land had ever seen. Rani Ratnavani was so beautiful. And all of these people who were coming, they were hiring educators and teachers. And one of the things they hired was a sage named Singhia. And Singhia was trained in the occult. And actually, all of the occult magic he used is very similar to the occult magic of the West, cursed oils. Even on my ghost tour in the city of Annapolis, I tell the story of a witch who used a certain kind of cursed oil. She's my favorite witch in all of Annapolis. Not the one I most like, but the one that has the best story. So Singhia keeps seeing this princess. I don't know if he was working for the rulers of this fort, or if he was educating people in the village, or if he was there for as a doctor or something along those lines. I don't know. There is no written history here. Some of this may be true. Some of it may not. It's near impossible to say. Desperately in love with this woman, this princess. And he gets glimpses of her, through windows. And this sorcerer, this man of magic, is desperate to have her for his own. He very much, this is a toxic man, as we would call him in America. He sees her as an object, as a possession. And he wants it. And if he's not going to have her, he's going to get her. She sent one of her maids down to the market, and he followed her maid to the market and was watching what she was buying. Little of this, little of that. And then she purchased an oil, a scented oil, much like thieves' oil here in Western society, one of magical properties. And he knew then what he could do. He began reciting a love spell, and he imbued that oil. He puts a love spell on this oil, and the maid takes it back to her. But this princess recognizes the black magic tainted on this. And how cool is this? She's able to spot the magic. Now, some instances of the legend says that she splashes it on him, and it begins to burn his flesh, and hot boiling steam comes off, and as he evaporates, he curses that no person who dies on this land shall ever reincarnate again. Others have it that she had the power of Shiva behind her, of which there is a temple of Shiva in this fort, and she calls the stones to fall from the mountain ridges surrounding this fort, and they come down and crush him right in the center of this market. And as he dies, he lays down this curse. There is a disease that is historic. The disease hit in 1783. We do have that in record. Wiped out the village. Any of the survivors left. It's believed that he brought about that disease. And that the souls of the people who died of that disease or died in that period are souls now trapped within that fort. Of which, well, if those are his dying words, then he still remains there too. This Shingiha still remains upon this place. And the activity in this fort is quite fascinating. Now, I've watched a lot of ghost hunts, and I will say most of the ghost hunts that I've watched are very rarely in English. And I've tried to watch the ones in Hindi. They're a little bit more difficult for me. But I have watched long versions of them. In fact, I'm gonna link several of my favorite India authentic versions of the story in the description below. So please check those out. Because obviously, I want to show my respect to the culture and to the people who this story belongs to. I'm telling it, but it belongs to a culture. And so I'm going to link to that culture's versions of the story as well. And so let's get into the activity. Howling, screaming, sounds of pain and agony, sometimes human wails, but more often the wails and the growls and the grunts of creatures. Now, it should be noted there is a tiger and a leopard preserve surrounding this fort today. However, the people who tell this, the people from that area, say these do not sound like tigers or leopards, although that is added danger. That is added danger to this fort. Not only could you be hit with a guru and a sage's curses, but also you have to deal with the fact that you can get mauled by a leopard or tiger while you're there. So, you know, there's that as well. Plus, sightings of witches, sightings, many, many phantom sightings. I want to visit it. I don't know. I mean, from what I understand, the Indian government does not allow you, and this is the best part. This is, I think, one of the coolest things about this. The Indian government will not allow you to be there after night. I've seen a lot of people successfully do overnight ghost hunts, or at least so they claim. And I've seen a lot of people get evicted with an overnight ghost hunt. I think maybe it requires a little proper going through the proper channels, getting permissions, and maybe greasing the right pocket. But with that, I want to thank you all for watching. Everybody who's watched to this point, hey man, thank you so much for watching to this point. Look, hit subscribe for me, will ya? Huh? Please? And, maybe since you made it here, give me a like. I would appreciate like this, giving me this on the YouTube video. That would help me incredibly. Also, so I wanted to be proper and respectful of this culture, which is not of my own, when I filmed this. And so I was hunting for from India photographers who have done kind of ghostly portraits for my thumbnail. And I found a couple. Nothing that really stood out as amazing. And so as I'm scrolling and searching all of these stock photos to find what I'm going to use as my thumbnail image, I found that India has a very beautiful raven. It's called the black raven. And I looked at it and I was like, that's the most haunting thing that I've seen in these stock images. And I love ravens. I'm a nerd for ravens, man. I smile anytime I see a blackbird. I just like blackbirds, really. Hell, my favorite song from the Beatles, Blackbirds. And so I was like, I don't know if people will really recognize that this is a bird common in India, but it was the best I could find for a thumbnail. And so that's why I have that thumbnail right there. And so with that, guys, thank you all for joining me. And I look forward to seeing you again. So come back, okay?